Advent Day 12. My goodness, so far so good. Legay is going to talk to us today about Christmas sweets.
Halftime!
Halftime!
Yay. So, almost done. Okay, we'll talk about Christmas food today and tomorrow. So what would you need to survive winter? You would, of course, need sugar, fat, and protein. And today we will talk about sugar.
Delicious.
What do you typically eat? What sweet stuff do you eat during Christmas time?
Um, that's a good question. So I know there's certainly quite a few things you can. I mean, so in England we tend to have like we'll usually have some kind of chocolate. Usually there's like a quality street, so it's like a variety kind of thing. So some of them will have like a feeling of like a strawberry kind of cream. Some of them might have like toffee, for example. So that's always quite a good one. Um, I know we tend to do like Christmas pudding. We tend to have like it's like a it's like that's why it's like a fruit cake basically, but we tend to inject a bit of brandy into it just because any reason to have it be a bit richer. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
kind of a cream sauce is nice. Let's see what else. Applesauce, but then again, you can usually have that with like pork, for example. Um, you could even talk about port if you want. Port's kind of a sweet drink. Have that with
Mm.
some cheese, for example. Yeah, there's a couple of things. I wouldn't say it's super heavy on the sweet side, but it can be. I mean, even sometimes you can get like cakes and things like that, or mince pies. That's another one. Yeah, mince pies are nice.
But mince pies sweet? Because I had the impression that they were filled with mince meat.
Yeah, no. So that's. I understand why you think that, but no, mince pies are sweet. It's not a mince meat. It's even it's a fruit mince pie.
Mm.
It originally was filled with mince meat, but it was a mixture of fruit, spices, and suet. I think they've kind of changed the recipe a little bit over the years, so it's not exactly. Oh, it does still say mincemeat, but it's not really a meat. I
So you
guess
don't
it could
taste
be.
the meat in there?
Oh no, you definitely don't. You definitely don't.
Oh, this is bad for vegetarians.
Yeah, well, they wanted to learn different things. Well, I guess it was fermented mixture of meat and fruit used as a pie filling. That was like back in the 15th and 16th centuries, over ages ago. I thought they kind of changed it a bit, but huh.
Why would they?
Yeah, well, it's even look at all that. So it originally was made with mincemeat. I didn't. I had a funny feeling that was kind of true, but I didn't realize it
Yeah.
was all through like the 19th century and stuff. Like, wow.
Yes, and some people who really don't like vegans and vegetarians probably sneak in some meat in the vegetarian ones too.
Yeah, that's just cruel, though, isn't
Oh.
it?
All right. I'm going to surprise you a little bit today. I'm going to show lots of pictures of delicious food. And we have two categories here. Category one is food that is widespread internationally, and we'll go into the Anglosphere for this. And then we have category two, and that is individual culture. So that is stuff that is very much connected to one place in the world. And sometimes the neighboring countries can have it too, but it is not so widespread internationally. So it's more like a dirty little secret.
Right.
And
Awesome.
we'll do the same for the dinner. So for the dinner, we also have traditions that are more international, and then we have more individual stuff. And there is some really freaky stuff with that. Um, so we'll start with the international stuff that is connected with Christmas celebrations, and that would be fruits and nuts, for example.
Hmm.
You can see that here. You have fruits and nuts, and sometimes very specific fruits and very specific nuts. And we'll go into this when the time comes. Then almost everyone who celebrates Christmas has some baked goods. Even people who don't have the Christmas bread, they usually have cookies. So, one big thing is sweet or savory Christmas bread, and there are different forms of that. Then you have cakes and pastries for Christmas. For example, in Eastern Europe, in a lot of countries, you have something that is called a babka. and I'll show you that. Okay, so that is sort of a cake bread, a mixture between cake and bread. Um, then you have buñuelos, and this is some Latin American stuff. So I don't even want to say Mexico because they're pretty widespread in Latin American countries. This is something very typical for Christmas. These shapes, they are specific for holidays. So you usually don't get these elaborate ones around the year. They are just flat when you get them during other times, and for Christmas they make these wheels, or they almost look like these straw stars that we've seen.
Yeah, you kind of.
That is quite widespread, and then you have something that comes from Danish, Swedish cuisine, and those are cinnamon buns. So cinnamon buns are also super popular around the world. Not because of the Danes and the Swedes, but because the English got them into their fingers and they started spreading them. Another type of baked good would be cookies. So we have bread, cakes, pastries, and cookies that are internationally widespread. So, for example, you have things made of gingerbread, and not just gingerbread people, but also gingerbread houses and squares. Then you have chocolate cookies, butter cookies, and cookies with icing and so on. And icing is not that difficult to make. You just need powdered sugar and water, or powdered sugar and red wine if you want to make an alcoholic one. And that is really cool because you can do a lot with the icing. You can paint with the icing, and you can make it at home. It's not expensive and it's not difficult to make.
Interesting.
Yeah, just 4 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and then you mix it with 1 tablespoon of a liquid like water or wine or something like that. So you can even make different colors, because when you use red wine for this, and then the icing turns pink. So those are the baked goods that are successful internationally. Then you have other sweet stuff, and among that is puddings. So you usually have sweet puddings that are often made of something like rice, and surprisingly, rice is very much connected to Christmas. Not in my corner, but in Northern Europe, in Scandinavia, they really like their rice, and the Finnish too. The Finnish are not Germanic people, so they don't belong to the North Germanic people there. But they have taken some of their traditions and run with them, and they've given them pretty cool names. Other sweets would be candied nuts, candy canes, caramels, truffles, custard, fudge, marzipan, and then there is something that is called turron. This is Spanish and is also common in Latin America.
Turron, yeah.
It's nougat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really good too. Comes in quite a lot of flavors sometimes with like special little ingredients and things. Real good, real good.
Right, so this is very popular in Spain and in Latin America. I'll send you all the pictures that I have. And now we'll get into Christmas drinks that are internationally successful. So one thing is, of course, alcohol. And it should be some special alcohol for the occasion. So many people drink champagne, sparkling wine, or wine around Christmas time. But what's more traditional is, of course, cider and eggnog and punch. And the word punch comes from the Hindi word punch. So punch means 5, which means that a real punch needs 5 ingredients.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And rum is also very popular. We'll get to rum later because you can do certain things with rum. Then you have drinks that are non-alcoholic but sweet, so like virgin punch, and hot chocolate, usually without alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is this weird category where you have a drink that can also be a dessert. This is kissel. And this is compote. It's basically the same drink. It's a fruit drink. It's fruits that have been kept in water, and they're starting to ooze their juice into the water. So it's almost like seasoning the water with these fruits, and it's usually cooked. Um, and then that kisil, the first thing, is more like a gel. So you can drink that, but it's very thick, or you can eat that. And the same with compote. You can drink the liquid, but you can also eat the fruit that it is made from.
Okay.
Those are Eastern European things, so you've probably never heard of them, but they're big in Eastern Europe, in Slavic countries.
That sounds cool. I'd love to try them sometime.
Yeah. You can buy that in Eastern European stores. They have it ready made.
Oh, cool. That's good to know.
Okay. Those are the international things, so it's pretty vague. But what's surprising is that it's not just the Central European stuff or the stuff from the Anglosphere that is internationally successful. But as you can see, it's a pretty big tradition that comes from Spain and Latin America too. So the juggernauts of Christmas are usually England, Germany, Italy, Greece, and then you have Spain and the Spanish colonies in the Americas. So you could say Spain and Mexico as a rule of thumb, because a lot of this stuff comes from Mexico, and the United States. These 6 countries define what you eat around Christmas and what the ornaments are like. These are the 6 big ones. Okay, let's go into individual sweets. And individual nuts are, for example, marroni. So those are edible chestnuts. And they're big in Italy and in France. They're just roasted, and you can buy them in a Christmas market, for example. Um, it's a specific taste. The French even have a marroni cake. So they use them to make a flour and to bake a cake from this chestnut flour.
Hmm.
This also is something that dates back to times when people were extremely poor. So people who could not afford regular wheat flour, for example, they would collect these edible chestnuts and they would eat them. And it's actually an emergency food, but they have a specific taste, and I really like that taste. So you wouldn't have to force me to eat that. And the French made some really nice dishes with them. The Italians too.
Hmm.
Then a weird fruit for Christmas would be the lychee fruit.
Hmm. This is a slightly weird fruit for Christmas.
But when you're in Madagascar, then lychee fruits are very typical for Christmas. So for them, it's similar to the spice situation in Europe. This is something that they usually don't buy around the year, but they buy it around Christmas time. And I think it's because it's more affordable around that time because more people are buying. So it's really just this situation where it's available, where everyone wants it. So you can play the market a little bit and you can get it for cheaper because you can buy in bulk. That is the
Clever.
typical Madagascar Christmas fruit.
Hmm.
You may have used them for Halloween because they look like eyeballs when you take the peel off. Then we have baked goods. And there is such a thing as julekake, and that is a Norwegian Christmas bread. Um, that is not quite as successful as the following two, but it's widespread in Scandinavia. Um, more widespread around the world is panettone. This is an Italian Christmas bread. It's a sweet Christmas bread with raisins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite nice.
Um,
Panettone.
yes, it's really good, and it is so widespread that Latin America goes crazy for it. It's not just Europe. They also eat this in South America and Central America. This is a typical Christmas dish for them. And the reason for that is that in these countries in Latin America, you have surprisingly many Italian immigrants. They brought this with them. And then in other South American countries, for example, in Argentina and in Brazil, you also have the German Christmas bread. That would be this one. It's quite similar. This is called Stollen.
Stoll.
But the ST in standard German is pronounced as a st. Yeah. So both comes from Europe, and that is really widespread around the world. There are many people who eat either panettone or Stollen. Also widespread are Saint Lucia saffron buns. They are from Sweden, and it's again it's spread across the Nordic countries. They are delicious. I would absolutely eat them. They look like these little knots. And again, we have the topic with the spices here because saffron is really, really, really expensive. So you actually only do this during Christmas time, that you use it for anything. Okay, then we have cakes and pastries, and one of these is one of these crowns is the bolo rei, and this is from Portugal, and it's supposed to look like a royal crown. You can see the rubies on the crown.
I see.
And of course, you have one that comes from the southern hemisphere. So this is very well known in Oceania, in Australia and New Zealand. Have you seen this?
No. Is that supposed to be like a cheese, like a brie or something?
No. It's a cake. It's pavlova. It's called pavlova.
Oh, pavlova. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know of pavlova, but I just hadn't seen it with this kind of decoration.
What else do we have? We have logs. We have fake Yule logs.
Again.
So yeah, we've already seen one. But there is also a French version which looks very similar. So this is probably some overlap between France and England. They've even made fake
awesome.
mushrooms.
Yeah, that's great. It's very clever.
Right, and Hungarians also have one, and they call that bagli. That is the Hungarian version with different fillings. So in Eastern Europe, you always have the poppy seed filling, and funnily enough, women can get a little bit high from that. So as a man, you usually have more mass, which means that poppy seed doesn't affect you as much. But as a woman, you're usually a bit lighter and leaner. So when women eat too many buns with poppy seed or too many pieces of cake with poppy seed, then the pupils can be a little bit dilated, and when you're doing a drug test, that can be positive after having too much poppy seed in baked goods.
That's very true. There have been cases of that. It's very true. Especially poppy seed bagels.
Oh, you know someone.
I know of a case where somebody got in some major trouble because with the police they had to do a drug test and it came up positive, and they had like I think 2 or 3 poppy seed bagels before. So funny.
But don't worry, you're not that affected, so I'm at a higher risk than you.
Yeah, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
I wanted to show you trifle, but you know what trifle looks like?
Definitely know what trifle looks like. Multi-layered, so good. Oh, I'll get a picture of trifle. Don't you worry about that.
Like a half-eaten one. Sorry, I couldn't hold back.
I'm sorry.
So, yes, trifle would be one thing that is a UK thing, that is one of the cream dishes. Then you have some insane cakes. So, when I say insane, then I'm talking about tree cake. And it's not a log, it looks like this. And that is a German thing, but it's also popular in Eastern Europe. And this is made on open fire usually, so I'll show you how this is made. Yeah, this is just the dough. They put it on these long rods, and then they put it in front of an open fire, and it turns. So they start applying chocolate, and when the chocolate has dried, they apply more dough. And that's how it continues. And this is why it has these rings inside that look like a tree stump. And that's why it's called
Oh.
tree cake, because it looks like a tree on the inside.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yes, you only get them around Christmas time. If you want them outside of Christmas time, they are really, really expensive because nobody makes them outside of Christmas time. It's a lot of work.
I bet.
Then you have some cake from Greece. This is the twisted yarn cake from Greece.
That's a cake?
Yeah, it's pieces of cake, and they look like twisted yarn. They're called kolorakia.
Interesting.
And you have some more from Ecuador. They also have weird shapes. These are called pristinos.
Kind of weirdly cute.
Yeah, almost like
Could
little
use some like
faces.
yeah, could use some like powdered sugar or a dipping sauce, but yeah.
Yeah. And then we have all sorts of cookies. We have cookies with spices like cardamom and cinnamon, and we have macaroons, which are often made with coconut or with nut powder. And we have vanilla cookies. So, all of this stuff that requires spices from abroad, from the Silk Road or from South America, for example, all of this was just too expensive, too hard to get in earlier times. So they only did this around Christmas time. And then you have some dry cookies, Polish mazurka cookies. And then you have shortbread, the spikolos from the Netherlands. And you've probably tried them. So spikolos are not that rare. Yeah, they have this slight caramel taste. And then you have cookies with jam, and this is an Austrian thing. You have different types of these cookies, and the first ones, the round ones with the round jam, those are called angel eyes, and the other ones with the little hearts are called linzer.
We have our own version in the UK.
So what is it
They're
called?
Jammy Dodgers.
I know them as bullseyes.
Ah, how about that?
So yeah, the round ones can be bullseyes instead of angel eyes. I mean, red
See.
angel eyes are kind of scary.
Yeah, but angels are scary.
Oh yeah, yeah, we know that angels are scary now.
Yeah.
So let me show you some pudding then. Because there is British sponge pudding. Guess you've eaten that one.
Oh, many a time.
You will recognize that. And there are more puddings from around the world. So, for example, we have one from Puerto Rico. That is called budín de pan. So, budín means pudding. De pan
Huh?
is bread. So, this is bread
Bread
pudding from
pudding.
Puerto Rico.
Delicious.
Then, of course, you have Christmas pudding, and there are two types. And we'll get into that when we talk about Christmas magic, because there's Christmas pudding from the UK that usually contains a coin, and you can see the coin in the first picture.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So this is Christmas divination, and we'll talk about it in the video about Christmas magic. Then, have you ever heard of Clootie dumplings?
I might
Nope.
know them by a different name.
They're Scottish.
Ah,
Doesn't look like a dumpling to me, but I think it looks like a Christmas pudding.
it does look like a like a fruity cake for sure.
Yeah. And then of course there is plum pudding. So that is mostly UK, with the exception of the budín de pan, which is from Puerto Rico. Then pancakes are also a thing around Christmas time, and I have some American pancakes here.
Yep, that seems right.
But there is also the Dutch version, and they have a very cute name. So they're called poffertjes.
Oh, that's cute.
And you can get them for breakfast. So Burger King in Central Europe, for example, had them as breakfast for a while. And they're usually eaten with powdered sugar and or honey. So they're tiny. They're really just like a tablespoon's head.
Sounds great.
Very small, miniature cookie-like pancakes. Then we have flan. Yeah, it's a more jelly-like pudding. So usually the version of pudding in the Anglosphere is more dry, and the more jelly-like type, that is more what you would find on the European continent as pudding, like chocolate pudding, for example, or vanilla pudding, that is like jiggly. So the brown one without decoration, that is known as Natilla Colombia, and that is from Colombia. That is a Christmas item from Colombia.
Oh, looks good.
Then we have porridge, and you will recognize some of that porridge because we've seen it in the St. Barbara video.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that is kutia. So that is the weird porridge that you eat on St. Barbara's Day. That is the Ukrainian type. And then you have lots of rice puddings. For example,
Yeah.
in Scandinavia, including Finland in this case. And the Finnish rice pudding that we'll look at, that is also one that contains something that you need to find and that will tell you something about how your year will be going. It looks unassuming. It's almond pudding with rice, so or rice pudding with almonds. And again, that is something that we will look into when we talk about Christmas magic. Because if you use this to tell the future, then that means it's part of Christmas magic. Different Scandinavian rice pudding. This is from Denmark and Sweden. So it can be a little more elaborate, like an ice cream sundae.
Mm.
And there is even a Christmas rice pudding version from India and Pakistan, which is known as kheer. And this is also marketed as Indian love pudding.
Oh.
Because it contains a spice that is an aphrodisiac for women.
Oh my.
And a lot of it, I have to say.
I see.
So, usually when you try this, and I have tried this stuff, so you just do this for anthropology, no other reason. You try this and you can feel the effect after about 3 or 4 pieces of this spice, and this pudding has 10 pieces of this spice. It's a bit of an overkill.
Hey, just a little bit, yeah.
It's very, very good. Absolutely delicious. It's like rice pudding. Regular rice pudding, and then it has an additional spice and some rose water in it. Really good. If you can find it in an Indian restaurant as a dessert, try that. For men, it doesn't do anything, so don't wait for any weird effect. Um, this is a gendered spice. There's a lot of stuff that helps men, but there is really just that one spice that helps women. And for men, it has a different effect. So it helps your digestion, which means that whatever comes out of you is perfectly shaped and has a perfect texture.
Okay. What a weird conversation about rice pudding. Aphrodisiac for
moving on.
women lets men have perfect shits.
Well, the thing is that it also helps women's digestion. But when I say it helps the digestion, some people think that you have to go to the bathroom right after eating it, and that is not the case. It's
Yeah,
really just
that's
that you don't have any bloating, and you don't have any heartburn after this. Like, it makes everything go really, really smooth inside you. And then when the time comes and you want to go to the bathroom, then everything is absolutely perfect. So it doesn't make you run somewhere.
it's not a laxative. That would be very funny though.
No, let's move on to the Norwegian rice pudding. So this is the Norwegian stuff.
Oh.
And then we have some rather weird stuff like pasteles. So these are sweet tamales.
Oh.
And they're not exactly like tamales. It's more like a rice cake, and it's usually steamed in banana leaves. Like Costa Rican tamales are also steamed in banana leaves.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's usually a vegetarian thing. It's sweet, and I know these things from Southeast Asia. So they're also really common in Vietnam and Thailand and so on, and they're absolutely great. They can be filled with banana, for example. So you have a dish that tastes like a more solid rice pudding filled with banana, and that is warm and that is steamed and absolutely great.
That sounds good. Mm.
These are made with plantain. Okay, then we have something even more weird, and that is called puto bumbong. That's a Philippines dessert.
Wow, what a color.
Yes, that is black rice. And there is natural black rice, but when you cook it, then it colors things a dark purple.
Oh. That's
And
interesting.
this is a mixture of different rice colors. So you also have white rice in there. Looks really cool. I would absolutely love to try this.
Mm-hmm.
But very weird as a Christmas dish. And then you have a version of French toast from Brazil. So there's actually not that much to say about it. It's a Brazilian French toast, and it's called rabanada.
They're adorable.
Yeah, they also look really, really good. So when I say weird, then I don't mean that they don't look appetizing. I mean, to me, it's weird that somebody would eat this as a Christmas dish. But all of this would have shown you I would absolutely try that.
Oh, for sure. For anthropology reasons, we should try them.
Absolutely. Like I've even tried a drink that contained ginseng juice, and that isn't even an aphrodisiac for women. Okay. Then we have farofa, or farofa, I should say. Rum balls. Very, very alcoholic sweets from Germany
Oh,
called rum balls.
oh yes. Good though.
Yes, yes, but you can get drunk from eating them. So they're small, but don't underestimate them.
No, for sure.
And then
That's why
again,
we eat them.
yeah, then again, you have drinks. So we're closing this video with drinks. Alcoholic ones are in the absolute majority. So, for example, in Scandinavia, including Finland in this case, you have home-brewed beer, and this is known as Christmas beer. So people actually go to the lengths to make their own beer for Christmas. Then you have a punch in Germany that is called a fire tongue bowl punch. And I'll write down the German word for you. It's a very, very long word. It consists of 3 different words. So
Cool.
the tongue they're talking about is that metal piece that is on top of the glass bowl. And bowl is the same word. You essentially set a giant piece of sugar on fire, and that giant piece of sugar is on the tongue. You can see it. It looks like a cone. So this is made with alcohol, but as you can see, there are also citrus slices swimming in there. And you wait for the sugar to burn down and to drip into the drink. And it's really an art. You sit there and you watch this, and it takes a while because they're using this very big sugar cone for this, and then you drink it.
I'll definitely try it.
I'll show you something that you have tried. Irish coffee can also be used as a Christmas drink.
Oh yeah.
And do you know how that was invented and when it was invented?
Irish coffee?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know how it was invented or when.
So it's not that old. It's a drink from the beginning of the 20th century when people started flying between the British Isles and North America. So, of course, you had people in very small airplanes between the world wars trying to come over, seeing if they could fly from America to the British Isles. And they would usually land in Ireland because that is closest to North America. So these tiny planes they were flying in, they were made of plywood and fabric. So it got really cold in these tiny planes. And even when the planes got bigger, they were not that much better insulated against the cold and the weather. So even if you had passengers in the early times, then they would come down in Ireland and everyone would be shock frozen from the flight across the Atlantic Ocean. So Irish coffee was invented by airport personnel in Ireland. When they were getting in, these people from North America, and people were getting off the plane, and they needed something warm and something that was really solid. They needed cream, they needed alcohol. So what this airport personnel did is they made them a coffee. They put as much cream in it as they could, and whipped cream and that kind of stuff. And they poured whiskey in it, and then they dumped a bag of sugar in the glass, and that is Irish coffee.
Wow, that's quite a cool origin story.
Yeah, it's really
It is
to revive
actually
people.
made in
Yeah,
Ireland. That's amazing. Very cool.
yes, because people in Ireland drink more tea than people in England, actually. So they use more tea per head per year than people in England. So it's a tea drinking country, and you wouldn't expect them to come up with Irish coffee, but those passengers were Americans and they preferred coffee.
Quite right. Yeah, that's quite clever.
So, of course, this is a very good drink for Christmas time. You're not on a plane and you're not freezing to death in the northern Atlantic, but it's very cold around Christmas time. And you
Mm-hmm.
want something sweet and you want fat and protein and alcohol. So, perfect Christmas drink.
Too right.
Then we have mulled wine. So, have you tried mulled wine? Probably.
I have it like every year, Ligea. Yeah. It's Christmas tradition.
You can actually buy some spice mixes for mulled wine. So they have them in little bags or even in cans, and so you don't need to buy the stuff in the supermarket, because in the supermarket you usually have these bags and you have one that has only like 2 or 3 cinnamon sticks, and then you buy one with like 10 star anise, and it's not the right amount. There is always something left over when you buy the spices in the supermarket, because it's not matched to each other. So they are not thinking about that maybe somebody needs to buy this to make mulled wine. So you have leftovers from these supermarket bags. This is why people also make these spice mixes that are specifically for making mulled wine. And what is very, very British is mulled cider.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Cider is really just wine made of apples. So regular wine is made of grapes, and this is made of apples. And then we have the Rumtopf. Have you heard what Rumtopf is?
No.
No, okay. It means rum pot. It's also a German thing. I'll show you how it's done. You have this giant stone pot, and during the year you collect fruits from your garden, or well, maybe even fruits that you've stolen somewhere if you don't have them in your garden. So this is it's like a layer cake of seasonal fruits, and you can see that it says June at the bottom. And then you have July, August, September, October. And on each layer of fruit, you put some sugar and then you pour rum on it. And then in July comes the next layer of fruit, and then again sugar and rum. So you fill up that giant stone pot. And when you're done in October, you pour some more rum on it, so it's completely covered, and then you close it until Christmas.
That's awesome.
Yes, you have lots of different fruits in there. So the whole year, basically, a whole year's worth of fruit. This is what it looks like. So first of all, this is what it looks like when you put sugar on it, and this is what it looks like when it's done.
Ooh.
This is what you do with it. So you can eat the rum fruit, and I have done that. I actually have some of that stuff here, and it's very, very alcoholic. Like, eat 2 pieces of fruit and you're done for the day. You can go to bed after that because there is so much rum in it.
That's awesome.
And then you can use that as a sauce for cake. For example, when you have a cake that is a little bit drier, or you have a pudding that is a little bit drier, then you can use that as a sauce for that. And pay attention to the glass, because based on this mixture between rum and sugar, when you put this all together, the rum actually turns into liqueur. So you can drink that as a dessert liqueur.
That's a great tradition.
It helps against the cold. Last drink we have is from Jamaica. Have you heard of that Jamaican drink? I'm not going to say what it's called, but I would be interested. Have you heard of any Jamaican Christmas drink?
Jamaican Christmas drink.
Nope. Okay.
Not Red Stripe. No, of course.
And that is called red sorrel drink. This is a non-alcoholic Jamaican Christmas drink, and it's made of hibiscus flowers. And it has a beautiful color, and I would love to try that.
Yeah, it does look quite nice. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep, I've never
So
heard of that.
the only non-alcoholic drink on the list for the individual sweets. And that is the video about sweet Christmas dishes. And next time we need to continue with fat and protein.
It's made me pretty hungry now.
Okay, what are you going to try? So, what made you especially hungry? What would you like to try now?
Out of all those options, I mean, alcohol is alcohol. I'd try any of that. I'd probably say the tiny pancakes, the small French toast. Those are both quite interesting.
Yeah.
The let's see. I'm surprised I hadn't heard a Clootie dumpling before. I was quite surprised by that. Let's see.
But you...
I mean, the tree cake. That'd be quite. That just looks like quite an experience.
Yes.
Otherwise, I mean, I do recognize some of these, but the twisted cake is also quite interesting just because of its appearance alone. Like, I definitely feel like there's a few things there I definitely want to try.
Yes. So you see, around the world, we have Christmas sweets, and some are rather surprising. In some countries, like Japan, for example, you also have Christmas cakes, but this is more like a cream cake with strawberries. So it's not even a seasonal thing because they're using strawberries and not something that is in season around Christmas. And they're really just making something that they like anyway, like a strawberry cake, for a big celebration. So it's not necessarily something that corresponds with Christmas. It's just something that they really like anyway. And we will see that in the next video when we talk about Japanese Christmas dinner. You will be surprised. But in some countries or in some areas of the world, people really put in some effort with designing new Christmas food to make it really seasonal and to make it connected to Christmas.
I like it. I like it a lot. Day 12 down. Thank you so much to my YouTube members and Patreon members for all the love and support. It's thanks to people like you that we can keep growing.